All right, guys, welcome back to Happy Pod. We are here today with, how do I say your last name? Nick Casebolt? Casebolt. Yeah. We are here today with Nick Casebolt.
Exactly how it sounds.
Who is actually kind of our technical guy for our podcast. He helped us get this all set up. He's been setting stuff up and getting all the cameras ready. We said, you know what? We got to have a conversation with you, bro.
I appreciate it, boys.
We got to see what you've been up to and how life is treating you.
Well, you guys know podcasting is my game, so I'm always down to come kick it, sit back, relax, talk about some whatever.
Yeah, we've actually done a podcast for We Are the They.
We have. Both of you guys have.
Yeah.
Yeah, both of you guys have come on the We Are the They podcast.
Yeah.
Which is super convenient for me.
Yeah, we come to you on that.
Yeah, exactly.
You guys aren't filming those at the headquarters anymore, though, right? You're doing those at Rookery, or are you still doing them at headquarters?
We've been off and on. Lately, it's been more Rookery just because that's more convenient for me. But if we could do more at the headquarters, we would. It's just hard.
That's a cooler background.
Yeah.
It just fits the MO a little bit better.
Yeah, it does. I just I don't know. It's tough because I'm at Rookery all day.
Yeah.
And a lot of the podcasts that we've been doing recently have just been like midweek where I'm just like, hey, just come by Rookery because I'm here.
Yeah.
Let's record here. So that's just kind of where it's been at for me. But wherever we can do it is good, right?
Yeah.
Like, all of our studios look incredible.
Yeah.
All of our studios look phenomenal. So it's not the end of the world if we can't do it at the headquarters.
Yeah.
See what I'm saying?
Did check out the Rookery today, actually. It's quite impressive.
Yeah.
Had never walked in there before.
Really?
Yeah, I walked in there and checked out the different rooms and stuff. It's pretty nice.
Have you been to Rookery?
I have.
Yeah.
I did back before you were even, I think.
Before I was even there.
Day,
Yeah.
There was no host.
Yeah.
And just guests would go and talk to each other.
Oh, yeah. You were one of those.
Yeah.
I was one of those.
I watched your podcast, actually, before I decided whether or not I wanted to do what.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did it help push you over the edge?
Yeah. Helped me feel better about it.
I was a little hesitant there. I don't know.
I think I already had kind of committed to it at that point, but I was
your
like,
uncle runs a show, so
I was
it's
like,
an easy call.
it was a yes, no, and I said yes, and then I was like, oh shit, what am I getting myself into here?
Yeah, exactly.
And so I listened to that, see who it is, and it seemed like at the time your podcast was the two youngest dudes in Watt at the time, I believe.
Yeah, probably.
So it kind of was able to give me some insight onto the younger crowd
The
of
younger
Watt.
crowd. Yeah, we're all sort of in that younger crowd, huh? I'm getting up there, but
Yeah.
how old are you?
I'm 26.
26?
23.
Yeah.
Damn, I'm old, dude. I'm 28.
No, you're not.
28. I'm about to be 29.
I think we're all in that stage where everyone we talk to anyways is still just going to say that it's a cheat code, right?
Yeah.
Like being in it, anything before like 35,
Yeah.
everyone just kind of looks at it and they go, wow, that's really impressive, right? Mm-hmm. I think that's the cool part. I was looking at my notes because one of the things that I did before I took over the Watt podcast was I listened to a bunch of the episodes and I had critiques for all of them.
Really?
And I went to go see if I had any critiques on your podcast. I didn't write anything down.
You didn't write anything down?
No, I think I was on a flight.
He wrote it down. He's just not telling you.
No, I just
That's
It's
considerate.
critical.
no, that's
Did
funny.
you listen to the one that we did with Ethan? Obviously. What did you think of that
Yeah.
one? You edited it. So
Yeah, I edited it.
Of course you listened to it.
I thought it was all right. Definitely. Listen, here's the thing, okay? Here's the thing about me. I listen to so many podcasts and I've studied podcasts. Like, that's my thing. Like, the reason why I've got to where I am within the podcasting world at this point is because I've studied what makes a good podcast.
What makes a good podcast?
The first thing is it has to just have a free-flowing conversation. First and foremost, that is the number one thing when it comes to podcasts. If the flow is unnatural,
Chunky.
if it's choppy, if the host is trying to reach and just get so much out of the guests, that's the issue. If the guest isn't opening up, that's another issue. So it kind of becomes this perfect blend of the host's job is to make the guest comfortable and to get them to share what is needed to be shared as a part of that conversation. Because you can just talk all day long. You can just have the conversation. But if you're not actually getting something out of the conversation, you're not actually doing it right. right? You're just talking to someone at that
Gotta
point.
bring value.
Exactly.
Have to have a genuine conversation instead of just like open, loose.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, so like with Pop Off, we kind of just let him go. Like he was running, dude.
Which
He
is
was-
fine. Yeah.
He was on fire.
Hey, there was flow.
There was flow.
He
There
had
was
it.
really good flow, and I was just like, I'm just gonna like listen because I'm enjoying
Exactly.
this. Like I'm enjoying listening to this in real time.
Yeah, I felt like I was learning more from it sitting here listening to him than I think some of our viewers might get out of it. Like
Yeah,
there's
he's
just a lot of
freaking great.
a lot of
guest,
knowledge.
dude. So much fun.
It's-
He had his Bible open half the freaking pod, just
really?
reading verses.
That's funny.
Great.
I like that actually. Yeah.
I'm
it's
stoked for you to edit it.
Yeah. You want someone like the perfect guest is someone who will go off on these tangents and be able to share, but still be able to like listen to what you're asking them and answer the questions that you're asking them. Right.
Yeah.
It's a tricky balance because you can have a guest come in and just talk and talk and talk and just let the conversation go how it needs to, which is fine. But at the end of the day, what your goal is as a host of a podcast is to get what you want out of the conversation, right? So you want to lead the conversation to where you want to take it and say, all right, this is where, this is the topic that I want to talk about. How do I free flow that? And then flow that into another conversation topic, right?
Yeah.
It's not just sit there, ask the questions that you want to ask. That's my least favorite podcast in the world.
It's just,
just
interview
an interview?
style.
Yeah. Which an interview style is completely different from just the guy who just asks questions, right? It's if you sit there and you go, here's question, you answer question, I ask you another question, you answer another question. We have 4 or 5 at Rookery who do that.
That's how they're doing it.
Yeah. Where it's just
Are they Watt guys?
a couple of them.
What are their names?
I'm not dropping names here.
We'll believe it.
That would be funny though. It's
Just call them out. No one
Yeah,
listens to this.
That's true, actually. I will say I'm gonna give one name here. Okay,
Yeah.
Gage Heward. He's a member of Group 6. Okay, you guys probably haven't
6
met him
groups
yet.
now?
Yeah, there's 6
Jeez.
groups, dude. It's fucking wild.
That's crazy. I thought there was only 5.
No, we got too many groups, dude. It's
Okay, Gage. So
yeah. So Gage, to his credit, he asks really insightful questions. However, he does not provide anything extra after asking the questions. Normally, the way you want to go about it is you ask a question, you let the guest answer, and then you follow up on that,
add on to it.
right? You say something additional afterwards, and then you continue to free flow that into the next conversation, right? You're always looking for segues, basically. Like you're always looking for, all right, how do I tie this and this together? That way I can get to my next point. So it's tricky. It's not just you write a bunch of questions down and you sit there and ask them. You have to like balance the conversation properly.
So you've been podcasting for
10 years.
a decade.
Yeah.
And how often are you pumping pods out? How many pods have you done in 10 years? Would you say? Rough ballpark.
Gross total episodes.
Definitely over 1,000
Nice.
at this
1,000?
point. Yeah. Between like me editing stuff as well, it's probably closer to like 5,000 at this point. Like
You
we
think you've edited 4,000 episodes?
have edited a lot of content. It's kind of
That's
crazy.
crazy.
Yeah.
How much
I
are you
mean-
using AI for that?
Virtually none.
Why not?
Especially with Rookery, we provide a very hands-on experience, and I have the expertise to edit everything myself. I don't need AI to do everything. Also, if we use AI to do everything, it's probably just going to take my job. So,
Makes a good point.
yeah, AI is fascinating with my world because AI can't like turn on the cameras and help you like get the audio check and everything like that. But the AI can do everything else after
The
that.
editing.
Yeah. I had a teacher in high school, my senior year. I think that was a history class or something like that, where the last day of the year, there was no more lesson or anything like that. He just did like an hour and a half long monologue presentation about how AI is going to take over the world.
Really?
And it was like a beyond scared straight moment for us, where he was like,
shit.
yeah, he was legit like, you have to be in an industry where AI cannot take over your job because
Or
if
learn
you
how to use it.
yeah, exactly. Because if you go into a job and your job can be taken over by AI, it will be taken over by AI.
What were some of the examples he gave? What do you think's first to go for AI?
I mean, one of them was like the content production side of things, right? Where it's like people who make YouTube videos and stuff like that. Eventually AI is just going to be able to do everything. You're just going to be able to throw all of your files into one thing and a vlog is just going to pop out for you.
I can't wait for that to happen.
Yeah. It's
I
going
want
to be
that
insane.
so bad because I don't mind filming stuff, but sitting down and editing, I barely even like taking the SD card out. Like our system is so perfect how you just leave with the SDs and then there's all of a sudden a video uploaded.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like a dreamland for me, dude. That's what I want. But I think if AI can make it a little bit cheaper, that would also be nice.
AI can basically already make it cheaper. Like AI can basically do everything that
That's
I
why
do
I'm
on the
curious
editing
why you
side.
don't use it for that portion.
One, it's not super great. It's not super accurate. We've seen systems in the past where like if you did what I do, where it's like you take the files from each camera angle, sync it up to the audio, the AI either has issues with syncing the audio properly, or it has issues between like camera cuts and recognizing who's talking and stuff like that. So like the camera cuts might be just terrible. Like they might not cut to someone when they're talking, even if it's like just for a brief second, whatever it may be. AI is going to like AI is going to chop it up however they please. And so it's kind of inaccurate and it's really difficult for AI to be like, this person's talking, I flip to this camera angle at this time, synced with this audio perfectly. It just has a hard time with like the minute details, but it can produce a full podcast if you really wanted to. Just not as good.
So if somebody was going to start a podcast, what's the best way to, I mean, obviously we just got mics and sat down and started talking. Is that kind of the kind of go-to? Is it really that simple?
Most of the time.
Why are people, because since starting this, I've had multiple people tell me, I bought all the equipment and I never filmed an episode. Or we filmed an episode and then never uploaded it. And like, what is it about? Like, why is it? Because now that I'm doing it, I'm like, this is awesome. Why aren't more people doing this? This is so fun. So
Can I tell you why?
Why are people quitting? Why aren't they doing it?
The reason is they don't have a guy like me. Exactly. Like, and I don't mean this in like a bragging way. It's just like for example, if you didn't have me, if you didn't have me as an editor,
we wouldn't have uploaded a single episode.
Yeah.
We probably would have only recorded one and
been like, this is a fuck ton of work.
Yeah. You would have done this. You would have said, all right, I'm just going to go buy the equipment off Amazon.
Yeah.
We're going to figure out how to set it up. We're going to get some sort of random going. We're going to record an episode and then you're going to go, oh, I don't know what to do now.
Yeah.
That's the biggest issue that people have is they get to that point where they record the episode, they record 3 episodes and then they go, oh wait, how do I actually get this out to people?
Yeah.
Right.
Well, cause like, I feel like if you think about it, you're like, oh, it's easy. You just upload the one file.
Nope.
But then it's like, no, you actually have to go through and like watch it, cut it. There is still some editing involved and they're also long. Like how long did it take? The pod we did with Ethan, I think was the shortest one we've done so far. It was only 45 minutes.
Yeah, that one's quick.
How long did it take you to edit that?
Maybe an hour. Oh, probably less. For me, my rule of thumb is...
So you're not watching it in full speed. You're watching it like triple speed or something?
No, I'm watching it normal speed.
Really?
Yeah.
He's just that fast.
You're just editing as you go.
Yeah, you basically link it all up in Premiere Pro and you just click buttons to switch between the cameras based off whoever's talking. Like putting the cameras in the positions, like, zooming in on Braden, for example, zooming in on me. Like that's, once you set that up, you just link them all together and then it's just clicking buttons between each camera.
As you listen to it.
Yeah. And so you're just listening to it through and you have to be attentive, right? Like that's I'd say my biggest issue is my ADHD drives me crazy with editing because it's like having to sit there and be like, all right, this person's talking, like flipping back and forth. I might go 10 minutes and then just completely lose focus and then realize I've been on the same camera for like 5 minutes and go, all right, I got to go back.
Shit.
Like that's always my biggest issue that like, I always say if it's an hour-long podcast, it takes me an hour and a half to edit because that half hour is just me like occasionally having to go back and just, click which camera it should be as with in like me just watching it back. It's just hard for me to look at it. That was also the other thing with your guys' first one that I fixed on the thing here. Yeah. Is if you could separate the audio tracks, it becomes easier to edit.
Because you can see who was speaking. So you can just auto link up the sound.
Exactly.
With the cameras. Like that at first?
Yeah, it wasn't like that. which was a setting that I just needed to change. I always forget that it's not an automatic thing on these, which it should be.
So hey, I was also going to ask you about an intro.
Yeah.
What's a good intro? Like, how should we formulate that? How do people normally do that?
There's a bunch of different options on what you want to do.
Just like a little montage or something, and then like a little
throw together a couple clips
or something.
Yeah. You guys want to build it right now?
Yeah.
Like just fake laugh and stuff. See, look, that's perfect. That was money. That's
it. That's right there.
That's all we need. You just take the camera angle on Dallas, you take the camera angle on me, take the camera angle on him, throw some background noise in the back, and then have it pop up with the logo at the end of it, and boom, there's your intro.
Okay, money, dude. That's all we need. A little intro.
Literally stuff like that. Like that's that's so simple. Where it's like you could build out such a basic intro.
Yeah.
But you could always do more, right? Like the one thing I wish I was better at is like graphic design. Like I can't do shit for graphic design. I'm terrible at graphic design.
Dude, I realized that graphic design is hard. I just had
It's really difficult.
Someone just recommended me. They're like, oh yeah, because I was looking for someone to make some t-shirts.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh yeah, Jake Lords actually told me, he's like, hit these people up. They can make t-shirts. I'm like, they're like, it's $75 a design. I was like, oh, that's really cheap. Like, okay, cool. Like, got the designs. I was just like, I don't even know what to say. Like, can I just pay you for the design and just like, we go our separate ways? This is so far off and basic, like
Exactly.
8-year-old stuff that it's just like, how is this graphic design? Like, this is.
Yeah.
I'm trying to figure it out with the thumbnails, kind of trying to figure out like the photo editing and stuff side of things.
Oh yeah.
It's not as easy as you think,
Oh, I imagine.
I'm sitting there. I mean, that first one took, I think, 3 or 4 iterations, and we finally got one that I think is acceptable.
Yeah.
But it's like, I took classes to learn on this stuff in school, and I was in high school, and I'm like, I have a general concept of how Photoshop works and how those programs work, and I'm sitting there trying to do it, and I'm like, oh shit.
Yeah, I took a basic Photoshop class, and I still don't know Photoshop at all. I use an app on my phone.
I think that the bar has just been set high because Dalton at Envision, who's been doing my car wraps,
Makes sense.
has been knocking it out of the park. So he's actually designing the shirts now for me.
Nice.
I was like, hey, dude, you clearly know what you're doing. Like, you know how to make stuff look good. You got to just do my shirts because, graphic design, not easy. I would not even know where to begin.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so I wish I was better at that kind of stuff because, like, then I would be able to make the intros and outros and stuff like that, like, way cooler. I just don't know all that very well. So, just not my world.
You're more of the sit back, chit chat on mic.
Yeah. I've done, like, vlogs and stuff like that in the past, too. Or, like, I did a video essay type deal. I don't know if you've been on YouTube and seeing anything like that.
Video ISA?
Essay.
Oh, video essay. I was like, what is that?
No, just like a video, like basically, you write out a script, you talk into the microphone, you say the script, and then you just like edit the video behind it, right?
Like a documentary?
Yeah. Similar to that. But it's just like clips of, the one that I did was about Kobe Bryant. And so it was just like clips of Kobe, pictures of Kobe, and then just like me talking over it.
Telling his story.
Telling a story. Exactly. So like I've done that type.
R.I.P. Kobe.
Yeah, I've done that type of editing. I've done a couple vlog edits before. We were talking about that.
Yeah, I need an editor because
those are tough.
I want to get back into vlogging. I have my one buddy, Dallin McKinney.
Yeah.
He's moving to Utah and he's going to be editing videos. And I have another guy named Tommy who's potentially going to be editing. But like, if I could get the setup I have for the pod for vlogs,
yeah,
I would crank out a vlog a day, I feel like.
Yeah. I think that's the secret. I mean, you look at all the pros, we'll say, or like the big name YouTubers who do post one every day or every couple days, they are not the editor.
Yeah.
They'll proofread it before it goes out, likely.
Yeah.
But their editor, here's the clips, man.
I don't even like to proofread it. I just like to watch it once it's uploaded and be like, oh, nice. Be like, oh, that was embarrassing. Yeah, I did that. I would have cut that out if I had seen it ahead of time.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, it's already up now.
I think that's the issue for a lot of editors, which is like, I think there's a lot of people like you in the world where it's just like, hey, I'm just going to film stuff, throw it together, see what happens.
Yeah.
So many editors, although we have a good sense of like what to put in, what to move out, there's always that fear that you're going to put something in that the person doesn't want in.
Yeah, like the analysis paralysis
Exactly.
where you're like over analyzing it.
Editors have a huge issue with that.
They're very analytical.
Exactly. And so it's like,
Yeah, I'm
we
just
can
like-
create a great story. We can create the great vlog for you, but there's always going to be something in the back of the mind that's like, should I really have that in? I don't know if that's actually the right thing to have there or not. So I always, like, me personally, when I was doing the vlogs that I was doing, because I was just doing them for myself, even I had that issue for myself. And I was like, I'm the one who recorded all this stuff, but I don't know what I want in and out of this. So yeah, I was always just battling with that back and forth. It's tough.
Most of the projects I do, if I can get it above like literally 75, 80% quality, I'm like, all right, it's time to just finish this up and move on. Like trying to get everything at 100%. I don't know. I don't always do that, to be honest.
And just crank them out.
Doing one perfect is way harder than doing a whole bunch pretty damn good.
Yeah. Passing grade, sweet.
Well,
Let's send it.
and that's almost to the point about why people struggle with starting a podcast.
They want it to be perfect.
They want it to be perfect, right?
We were just talking about this. We didn't even have a name until our second episode.
Yeah.
We didn't have it till after.
We
Yeah.
named the podcast after we already filmed twice.
Yeah. And that's like, people get to that point. They get to that point of the second episode and they go, hey, we just recorded. Oh, wait, we don't have a name for the podcast yet. What do we do? Right. And then they overanalyze it and then they go, well, wait, I don't want to get it out there if we don't have a name for it.
Yeah.
And you guys were just like, nah, screw it. We
We just took
figured
the
out. Like,
existing name of our sponsor, Happy Roofing, and just switched out the word roofing for pod. And
Exactly.
we're like, all right, there it is.
yeah, exactly.
Magical.
It was that simple.
I don't know how we didn't think of that earlier on. Because like once it came around, I was like, yeah, I like that. You know, it's just simple.
Simple.
Flows right into it.
It's easy.
Good attitude. Makes it easy.
You got to spell it out though for people.
Yeah.
HIPPI.
Oh, HAPPI.
Because if people look up Happy Pod,
I know.
probably-
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. You're going to have to keep that in mind.
HAPPI. Yeah, maybe we'll change the name.
You'll figure it out.
We'll keep it for now.
Keep it for 8 episodes.
10. Gotta get past 10.
Well, eight's the magic number in podcasting. Did I tell you about this?
We're going to get to 8.
Yeah.
Probably by like
Next week.
next week.
Yeah. You guys will be good. Eight's the magic number of podcasting. If you reach 8 podcasts, you're in the top 10% of all podcasts in the world already. Because there are so many people who, exactly like we talked about, they start a podcast and then a couple episodes in, they go, I don't want to do this anymore. That's why at Rookery, we have 3-month guarantees on all of our subscriptions.
Oh, like once you sign up,
If you sign up, you have to pay for 3 months. Yeah. No matter what.
I didn't know that. You didn't even tell me that.
Oh, yeah, that's fair. I knew you guys were going to worry about it. So,
I like the confidence you have in us. You're like, I don't even need to tell these guys
Yeah,
about the
exactly.
3-month deal. They're going to follow through.
I don't know. It's funny, man. There's some people where it's like, you could just tell. You're like, they're going to do it. You know, they're going to stay consistent in it. Then there's some people who start and you go, there's no chance in hell that they're continuing this.
Really?
Yeah.
What are some of the good success stories that you've kind of seen over at Rookery?
At Rookery? I mean, Jimmy's is a great example of just doing it.
Yeah. How many
at-
episodes is he in?
He's over 600 now.
Holy crap.
Yeah.
He just brute forcing it at that point, or at the beginning at least, or
At the beginning, yeah. I mean, at the beginning, it's just like when you start a podcast, here's what you do. You exhaust
that.
every, what?
I did
You
not
looking up
know
his?
that. Yeah, I'm going to look it up real quick.
Yeah, I think 604 was the one he just came out with.
You said we exhaust everybody that we know.
You exhaust everybody that you know, right? Like you use your entire, which is exactly what you're doing, which is smart. You use everybody that you possibly know, get them on the podcast. And then once you do that, you exhaust it even more, right? You find more people that
circle
you
back.
know. Exactly. Like you just find more people that you know. You just try and get as many people as possible that you know on the podcast and just push it out there. Then once you've done that for however many episodes it may be, that's when you can actually like go actively find people.
Yeah.
Because then you'll have, I mean, let's say you just got every guy from Watt on. That's 50 guys right there, right?
Yeah, just in our group.
Yeah, just in our group. And then you could go to other people and say, all right, now it's time for me to like actually actively reach out to people. And you could say, hey, I'm 50 episodes into this podcast. I'm 100 episodes into this podcast. If you're Jimmy, I'm 600 episodes into this podcast.
It says he's only 98 episodes.
that's wrong.
That's wrong.
Podcast, the Jimmy Rex Show, 98
You're on Apple
episodes.
Podcasts? Go on Spotify. On Spotify, it's over.
No, Apple should have all of them.
Yeah, Apple should have
I was
all
on
of them.
YouTube.
Well, that might
Oh,
be why.
YouTube, he probably hasn't uploaded all of them.
Oh,
Yeah.
is he not done?
On Spotify and Apple Podcasts, he's well over the 600 mark.
604 exactly on Apple.
Yeah. I know this because I looked it up earlier today.
You edited it today?
How long? How long is it taking him to get to 600 episodes?
He started
Almost 10 years, isn't it?
when did he start
Jeez,
his?
bro.
I thought he started his around COVID.
It might be closer to 2020.
So 5
5 years?
Yeah. I mean, he's been cranking out at least one a week basically for the last 5 years. I know that for a fact. I don't know if it goes back further than that.
But that only put him at 300. Yeah, so he's got to have.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah.
That's pretty wild. I did not realize he was so deep on his podcast.
Yeah. I mean,
thought
I got
maybe 100, 200 episodes, but 600 is a lot.
I mean, I got to 100 episodes on my new sports podcast within a little over a year and like 2 weeks. I got to 100 episodes.
Guests on every one?
Yeah.
Doing nice.
Maybe a couple. Reoccurring guests.
Yeah.
Like for my sports one, it's the same like 5 people
Okay.
that I have every single time. Or like I might do a solo one or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
But that one's just for fun. And so I'm just cranking those out as much as possible.
Yeah. Well, that's kind of where I'm at with this show. Is just I just want to get all my buddies in here and just shoot the shit and see what happens.
Well, that's the best part of it, man. Like, I lost how fun podcasting was for a while because I just got so focused in like the analytics, the numbers, trying to get the right guests, trying to talk about the right topics. Like I was doing research for a podcast that I was hosting for probably like 4 hours before each podcast.
Jeez.
Just like studying up on what we were talking about.
Single minute of research yet.
Yeah.
I've done all of 5 minutes because you sent me 2 Instagrams I had to look at.
All right, who are these people?
What's his name?
Exactly.
Didn't even find his name in the podcast or in his Instagram. It's like, all right, we'll wing it.
We'll figure it out once we get there.
Yeah. So that was just
Probably
no fun.
should do more research though.
Definitely.
With you.
It's good. It's always good to do research.
I just don't understand how that's going to help because I'm like, I guess I can ask about very specific
With people that you
stories.
don't know, it's going to help. With people that you do know, it's not going to change anything.
Well, like if I don't know them, how is that gonna help me? I mean, it makes sense, but I'm just curious what your perspective of on like why that helps.
It helps because you'll just figure out conversational topics that interest them, and then they'll get to talking, right? Like the number one job as a host is to get the guest to continue talking, to get the conversation to flow, right? So if you do your research and you look at, let's say their Instagram, right, or their business, and you just look at stuff that they have put out there, it means they're passionate enough and they care about this enough to actually talk about it, right? So in that sense, if you actually research it and you say, hey, this is what they talk about, this is what, like they posted an Instagram reel about this topic, let's bring that up on the podcast, right? Maybe not that specific reel, but just the conversation around it. And just get them talking about stuff that they actually care about, right? That's the key, man, is just get the guests to talk about what matters to them. Because if you just ask them questions that you want the answer to, and once again, no harm on Gage, I'm not trying to diss him here, but that's another thing with his podcast where it's like you're asking the questions that you want answers to, not what the guest wants to share. So it's an interesting dynamic there where you have to get the conversation to where you want it to be, but you also have to make it about the guest.
Maybe you could do both, where you can kind of get some of your own answers as well.
Oh, 100%. Yeah. That's
Selfishly,
the
I'm
perfect
like
podcast.
thinking, I'm like, some people that come on my show are like, I do want to learn about what they want to do, but I also want it to be, valuable for the viewer.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And valuable for the guest. I want it to be a triple win-win-win.
Yeah.
Right? That's what I want. I don't want to just be selfish and have it for my own archives. Although I think that is probably my main motivator, is just having an archive of these conversations. Like being able to look back in years from now and just be like, what is that conversation like?
Yeah. Do you know Mark McCormack?
Yeah.
Yeah. He always says, so he just passed 200 not that long ago on his podcast. And he always said that once he got to 200, he would stop. And the reason being is he wanted 200 episodes as like a video diary to his kids.
Yeah.
Where his kids can just go back and look at that and watch that and say, this is what my dad did.
Yeah.
And just get stuff out of it that way.
And now he's not stopping.
Yeah, now he just keeps going.
I'm glad he's not stopping.
He had too much fun.
I'm scheduled to go on his podcast next month.
Oh, you
Are
are?
you really?
Oh, shit.
It's exciting.
You're coming in then.
Stoked.
Coming into Rookery.
Yeah, I can't wait. I'm really excited about it.
Yeah.
I think it's April 2nd, April 12th.
Yeah, he's probably already on the calendar. If not, he needs to text me.
He's busy, dude.
He is
Holy
busy,
cow!
dude.
Yeah, I met him in Spain actually, and he's a very big dude.
time. Oh, he's massive.
I remember someone was telling me how we were about to run with the bulls, and he was just like, I don't know why, but I'm really not that nervous. I was like, yeah, dude, you're bigger than the bulls. Like, of course you're not nervous.
Mark's like, they'll just bounce off me.
Yeah, he's just
go
like,
around.
He was in like a bright green shirt or hat or something.
Oh, really?
He just stood out like a sore thumb. It was so funny. Yeah, I love that dude.
It's hard for him not to stand out. He's so big. He used to be bigger too. That's the crazy part. Like he looks great now, genuinely.
Yeah.
Like he looks like a guy who's 6'4". Like he looks like an athletic 6'4".
I wonder what
crazy.
he's worth. I wonder what his net worth is.
That's probably a good amount.
Pretty penny.
I have no clue, but I know what he's evolved in because I've listened to every single one of his podcasts since March,
yeah,
basically.
nice.
Yeah.
So when people come into Rookery and they're filming, are you listening while they're doing
No,
it?
I'm not listening while they're doing it. I think the way that our model is, we could be listening in and I could be doing like actual production right then and there, but then that would just take up too much of my time to where I wouldn't be able to get the edits out on time. So it just doesn't make sense for me to do that.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
And are you the only editor for Rookery?
Yeah. I'm the only one who does anything for Rookery.
Really?
Yeah.
For both studios?
I mean, we don't allow people to use the Watt studio.
I thought there was a Lehigh and a Salt Lake studio.
Well, we did have the one in Salt Lake. We closed that down.
Oh.
Yeah. It was, and I was running both of them. We were keeping the Salt Lake one only open on Tuesdays. And it was just an old apartment that Jimmy had.
Mm-hmm.
And then I was talking to Jimmy and I was like, hey, we have like 2 people using that studio. You could just get more by renting it out. And so he was like, yeah, I'm just going to start renting it out again. So we closed that spot down.
Huh.
It's for the
I didn't
best.
know that.
Yeah, we literally had to close down the Orem studio for an entire day every single week. So I could be up in Salt Lake and help record up there.
I'm glad you told me that because I've been telling guests that aren't able to make it out here that we have another option in Salt Lake.
Yeah, Orem.
Okay, Orem.
So yeah,
Good to know.
change that to Orem.
Or we could just, I was thinking about maybe just packing the equipment for some people. Like we want to go and do an episode up in Ogden in a hangar.
That'd be sick.
So I think we're just going to pack the equipment for it.
Yeah, you can figure it out. As long as you plug everything in and press record on everything.
Should work.
It's pretty easy.
Yeah.
It's not rocket science at the end of the day. The setting up and recording is not rocket science. The editing, that's
rocket science.
that's the part where, like I said, I mean, we've talked about it over and over again, but like everyone could buy the equipment, get everything set up and press record on everything. But then after that, that's where it all goes to shit. So
Yeah,
that's
I
where
could
people
see
have
that.
issues. Yeah.
That's why I'm so grateful I don't have to worry about that. That's what's going to bring a lot of sustainability to this.
Exactly.
Makes it a lot easier for you.
Yeah. Probably for you too. I mean, not having to edit it.
I appreciate it. I'd be the one doing it. So
Yeah.
Yeah, you
You
would.
would, I agree.
Yeah, you'd get put on everything.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Sounds like fun.
So are we doing uploads? We're doing uploads to YouTube. Are we doing?
We'll have them up when we get the next one to Spotify and Apple.
Okay.
Yeah.
When are we supposed to have our next one ready?
That's a good question. I'm behind on edits right now, dude.
Well, what are you doing here, bro? You should be working.
No, I might be able to get to your guys tomorrow, actually.
That'd be sick.
Yeah.
I'm excited to check it out.
Yeah, I might have time tomorrow. That one's choppy. I'm gonna have to figure out how to do that one.
Why?
There's like 3 different video files on each camera.
Yeah. They were cutting out.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, we had to keep restarting.
Yeah. So I'll have to see what that looks like. for you
Pop
guys.
off one, I think, is just half on one camera and then
All on the
full
other.
on the other camera.
Okay.
So maybe I don't know.
I'll figure it out. At the end of the day, I just need to sync up the audio to the cameras and then figure out which cameras are usable, which cameras aren't. So
Sick.
Yeah.
And then I have just the audio files for a conversation I had with Pop Off and then Brandon. I'd like that. They're just those audio files with maybe like a screensaver or something.
okay.
Just for my personal channel.
Okay. Just let me know.
Badass, dude.
Yeah.
Well, let's pivot a little bit here.
Yeah.
So your podcast is about sports,
Yeah.
right? And that's kind of what you've been podcasting, sports. Why are you so into sports? What is it about sports that you love?
I just grew up playing everything. My dad got me into it. right? I think that's how most kids get into sports is their dad loves sports.
Yeah.
And so it just kind of comes off through that. But I played everything growing up. I played really high level hockey was my first major sport.
Okay.
So I started skating when I was 5, probably.
You still ice skate?
I mean, I'll go out and ice skate, but I never like actually go play hockey or anything like that. It's funny. I bought brand new equipment because I was going to go start playing in like adult men's hockey leagues.
Yeah.
A beer league.
Yeah, like a beer league. I bought all new equipment in February of 2020. So right before the COVID lockdown.
Oh, shit. Have you used any of that
So
stuff?
I have a brand new stick, brand new skates. I think the skates I've probably worn like 4 times. The stick I've never actually put on the ice. It just sits in my room as a decoration.
Bro, we got to go skate. I love ice skating. I got hockey skates a couple years ago.
Yeah.
I love going down to the Olympic Oval and just
I
ripping
love skating.
laps.
Yeah, I love skating.
You ice skate?
I'm capable of it.
Let's go rip some freaking laps,
It'd be
dude.
fun. Let's do it.
No, I love skating.
When you buy ice skates, do they come dull?
What do you mean?
Like the
Like the blades?
Yeah.
I mean, depends on where you buy them from.
Because I can hockey stop on them
Yeah.
as is, but I'm worried that if I sharpen them, I'm not going to be able to hockey stop.
Oh, really?
Is that a thing?
No, it makes it easier.
Makes it easier
Yeah.
when they're sharp?
Yeah.
Why?
You want them as sharp as possible.
As it grabs, it cuts.
Yeah.
But wouldn't that make it harder to hockey stop?
No.
Because like it stops you.
It makes it easy. Well, okay.
It makes it easier to stop, harder to slide.
Yeah. So
I
like
want the sliding
it's
part.
more of like a sharp stop, right?
Yeah.
Because when you're playing hockey, you want your skate sharpened. That way it's a quick cut, right?
Yeah.
Like for me, like if I get skates on 3 steps and I'm just off, right? Like I can get to my top speed within like 5 steps on skates because it's just go. You use the edge of the skate, you use the sharpness to just take off. So you
like
need
sprinting.
Exactly. Yeah. So you need that sharpness on your skates to be able to like do that. So, but yeah, I played hockey till I was 13 and then we started checking and I was like 5'5" at 13. No, I was shorter than that. I was,
You were 5'5", 220 at 13, right?
how big was I? I was under 5 foot going into high school.
Nice.
Yeah, I was 4'11" freshman year of high
dude.
school.
Let's go.
So yeah, I was probably 4 or 5, probably 4 or 5 when I was 13. And so I was a tiny kid compared to everyone else. And so, yeah, I took a shoulder to the head, got a concussion, and I was like, I can't keep up with this. Like I can't play this at a high level anymore because I'm just going to get
Super
creamed over here.
physical.
Yeah. So had to pivot that, but I always played everything growing up. I played soccer, basketball a little bit on the side. And then I transitioned to tennis. Tennis was the main sport that I transitioned to after hockey. So became a high level tennis player, high school.
Oh yeah.
And yeah, I just, grew up watching sports, grew up around it all day.
So you're pretty competitive, would you say?
Oh yeah.
Love to win.
Yeah.
Hate to lose.
Yeah. But like at the stuff that I actually like care about. I don't know why. Like I'm not competitive at just like the random stuff.
Like what do you mean?
Like if me and you played air hockey, I wouldn't care.
Yeah.
But like if me and you went out and like actually played a tennis match, I'd try insanely
Try
hard.
as hard as you can.
Yeah. It's the stuff that I actually care about where I'm like, yeah, this is important to me.
Would you say you're competitive with podcasting?
Oh, that's a good question. Maybe. Here's my thing. I've done so much research and so much study of what makes a good podcast that I feel like it's almost in my nature to just do the best that I can with podcasting. And so I don't feel it as a competitive thing anymore because I'm not trying to grow a massive podcast on my own anymore. That's not any of my priorities. So in
You're
that,
not?
what?
Why not? Like what?
I think I'd rather be more behind the scenes.
Really? Off camera?
Yeah. I think I'd rather be producer editor than like main on-screen personality.
Sweet dude. Well, I hope you're producer editor for us for a long time.
And we'll see.
You're not going to go anywhere, are you?
Yeah, we'll see.
I don't want to get freaking year into
we'll
this and
see.
then lose our guy.
He's moving up, you know.
Yeah,
He's
we'll
got
see.
big things.
I got big
This
goals.
is going to be big things too.
I got big goals, man.
What are your big goals?
I want to work at Barstool Sports by the end of the year.
End of the year.
Yeah. I'll see
Have
what
you
that looks
talked
like.
to anybody over there? Started the conversation?
Yeah, I've dipped my toe in the water, the couple ways that I know how, and explored a couple different options. And there's an option that may or may not be coming up that I'm going to explore. And if it makes sense, I'm going to take advantage of it.
What is it?
Just an intern. It's an internship.
Okay.
They do these summer internships at all their locations. And I think I'm probably overqualified to be an intern. If I'm just being straight up and honest, like I think that if you look at,
So you'd be doing them a favor.
yeah. But like if it is a foot in the door to get a job in the future, then I'm going to take advantage of that. Right.
Okay. So let's pretend I'm David Portnoy.
Portnoy.
Yeah. Portnoy. Why should I hire you?
Portnoy's different. If I had a conversation with Portnoy,
Okay,
it
why
would be
should
a
I hire
content
you,
brain
bud?
that turned on. Here's the
What's your case here? You're in an interview and they want to hire you. What's your elevator pitch?
my elevator pitch is that I have a decade of experience of doing this on the side, and over the past 2 years, I've proven that I can do it full time. I started my own media company. I was editing for 12 different podcasts there. I got a sponsorship for my company before unforeseen circumstances led to other people not recording anymore and the company having to dissolve. So then I pivoted to being able to do that exact same thing, but for 20 different clients for a studio, and not only being their editor, producer, but also just running the studio full time. I've done this for a long time. I know the ins and outs of the industry, and here's the proof over these last 2 years that I'm willing to do this full time and I know what I'm doing.
So then you're going to edit, produce for all the people who are signed on, or for however many people are signed on with Barstool.
Yeah, Barstool has, so many podcasts
Really?
that basically every single podcast has their own producer and editor and editing team. So
Why specifically Barstool?
one, they have a new studio in Chicago. They have a new headquarters in Chicago. I've always wanted to live in Chicago. Don't know why. Couldn't tell you why. I just love Chicago.
You been there?
Yeah.
Go Cubs.
Well, what's so good about Chicago?
I don't know. I just love Chicago. So I have an aunt and uncle who live out there. And one of the best weeks of my life was going out and visiting them right after my senior year of high school.
Oh, wow.
Because I was just like riding this high, graduating high school, like trying to figure out, hey, what's the rest of my life going to look like?
Yeah.
And then I went out and I just like enjoyed life with my cousins, enjoyed life with my aunt who lives this like beautiful life where she just loves her family and gets to do fun stuff like go to concerts and stuff like that.
That's really cool.
And then my uncle who just works hard, goes to the gym, plays soccer with buddies. Like he just lives the life of just being like, hey, I'm just going to be fun and outdoors and be the best husband, father that I can be.
Gotcha.
So yeah,
So you want to move to Chicago?
yeah, I think that'd be fun. I think that's
There's got to be more to it than that.
the second reason is they're not like an ESPN type deal. ESPN there are just stories of people being put through the ringer through ESPN, where it's like you start at the bottom and you have to grind for so many years and work your way up so meticulously to get to even remotely where you want to be. They're just horror stories about people who worked at ESPN. I don't really want to do that. I'd rather
You want
work
to
at
just go straight to making money.
I'd rather just work at a fun environment like Barstool Sports where everything is content. That's the other thing about Barstool Sports that people don't realize. Like Dave Portnoy has openly said this, where he wants Barstool Sports to be like a reality TV show where just cameras are on at all times. Whatever happens, shit goes down, and he wants it on video.
Nice.
And so even if I'm sitting there as an editor, the odds, like the
You'll
amount
still
of
end up on camera.
exactly the amount of like producers and editors that they have who like end up doing content just because it's natural for them and it's a part of their culture. They just do it, right? So yeah, I love their culture. I love how they kind of set things up. It's a fun environment to be around. It's fast paced, which I like. Like I don't need something that's like, hey, once a week, every week, you have to have this episode out. I want it to be like, well, if something happens, we're recording a podcast that night and we're releasing it, right? Like I want stuff like that where it's fast paced, high energy, and there's always a need for something. And there's always content to be done. Like, I just love that type of environment. So
Is there anyone else that does it like Barstool does, as far as that high energy like environment that you'd be interested in being a part of? Like, because to me, it goes to like back when I was younger, I used to watch like Achievement Hunter, and it's a studio out in Rooster Teeth, I think is a studio. They're out of business now, but they would produce like videos and movies and stuff, but they would also live video of what's going on. They had a podcast. They were doing all kinds of stuff in that studio environment, but it was still your editors and team and stuff and everyone that's involved in that.
yeah, there's a lot of brands out there. Definitely smaller brands. There's one that called DNVR. I forget what the overarching company is, but there's a company that All Sports or something like that, where they have like different brands in different states. So like DNVR is like Denver. They have PHX, which is Phoenix. They have a DLLS, which is Dallas. Like they have all these different locations that are just like sports podcast for each local town. So they have stuff like that. Like I know that they're out there, but theirs is more localized, right? So there's only so much that you can do with that. As with Barstool, it's like a national audience. When it comes to national audiences, I think there's a couple different brands out there that have like bigger platforms when it comes to podcasting, like The Ringer. The Ringer Podcast Network is owned by a guy named Bill Simmons, who used to work for ESPN. They're out of Los Angeles, though, which is kind of one reason why I don't want to do them. Is I'd rather not have to go try and live in Los Angeles.
Don't do it.
Yeah, exactly. So they're one that kind of do the same thing. They're more podcast centric, though. Like that's where their main focus is because Bill Simmons has been such a big name in podcasting for so long. There's a company called John Boy Media out of New York. They're more like baseball focused though. And then there's a bunch of companies that do the exact same thing, just not from like a sports level, right? Or they have more of a niche within the sports market.
Okay.
Like there's some people who do stuff more specifically for like gambling purposes, right?
Yep.
There's more of that localized stuff, like the DNVR stuff. There's a bunch of different companies like that out there. In my personal opinion, I don't think anyone does it like Barstool, where it's cameras are on 24/7, see what happens.
It's that high energy, it's go time all the time kind of thing. And we're ready at the drop of a hat.
Exactly. And it's all encompassing content too. It's podcasts, it's YouTube, it's social media. It's not just like The Ringer has their main focus on podcasting, right? And then they have YouTube on the side, and then they have the clips on the side. Like theirs is the main focus is content, throw it out there, whatever it may be. Live streaming. They do a bunch of live streaming stuff too. So
That'd be kind of fun. It'd be kind of fun to set up a live stream.
Run a little live pod.
One of these days.
Dude, I love live streaming. I was doing it for like a year
Really?
when I started my company. Because I was like, if I'm going to do content, I might as well get as much content out there as possible.
Yeah.
So I was like, I'm just going to live stream too. So much fun. Live streaming is the best.
Why do you like it?
You just sit in front of a computer and play video games, dude. It's awesome. What else is there in life?
Dude, I've never been a video game guy. My brother's into video games. Everybody in the house plays video games. I go down there and they're like building stuff on Minecraft. And I'm like, we can like actually build stuff, right? And then we can actually use it.
Yeah.
They're like playing their game. I don't know. The racing games, I kind of understand. That's kind of fun.
My buddy has a car sim. And it's it's the racing game.
Yeah.
You're in the chair, like basically feels like you're in a cockpit. It closes the screen close to you. It's wrapped. You've got all the gears and stuff.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
Those are the best.
That's pretty fun. But I'm on the same boat you are. I have never been like a huge fan of video games. I played them a little bit in like junior high and high school, but outside of that, I'd much rather be doing something outside or just exploring.
I've always kind of wanted to get into them though.
They're cool.
I've wanted to like them. I've never done. I think it's because I didn't have them as a kid, and so I never got good at them.
That makes sense. Video games is very much if you have them as a kid, you grow up playing them, you're going to continue playing them.
Yeah.
If you don't, it is what it is. You're just
Do you have them as a kid?
I did a little bit.
Yeah.
And my little brothers both play them all the time.
Really?
But I was never good at it. It was always, hey, hand the controller to the little brother when I couldn't do it.
Yeah.
Or to Connor is his name. I'd be like, here you go, bud. Go take care of this level for me. And he'd go beat it. And then I'd take it back over and play with my buddies again.
Yeah, the skill thing has to be a big factor as well.
Oh, yeah.
If you're good at anything you're good at, you're going to naturally like.
Yeah.
And it helps too when you do have a community with it too. Like that's why I enjoy it is I'm playing it with friends.
Also true.
Where on the flip side, the people who can enjoy it by themselves have to have that skill and be able to really just go and grind at it.
Makes sense.
Yeah, exactly.
So video game, you like streaming, sports, podcast.
Yep.
Is there anything we're missing there? What else are you interested in?
Do you guys want to know like the nerdy stuff that I'm interested in?
Yeah.
Sure, let's hear it.
Are you ready for this? I'm curious. Let me ask you guys this first. What do you think the nerdiest thing you like is? Like
Dungeons and Dragons.
You like Dungeons and
Without
Dragons?
question.
You like Dungeons and Dragons?
Oh, hell yeah.
have you been to Ross's
I don't
place?
even truly
Yeah, I
know
have.
what
It's
that
so
is.
cool.
Oh shit. I gotta go.
It's so cool. I'll show you the video. It's
You like
sick.
Dungeons and Dragons?
I'm not a Dungeons and Dragons guy, but like I can admire the art
I
of
truthfully
Dungeons and
don't know what it is. Is it a board game?
Yeah, kind of. It's like it's
More
called,
role
like,
play.
live action role play is what they call it. So you have a character sheet or like a sheet of your character that you made up, and you roll dice to decide the stats for the guy and stuff, and then you go basically play this character.
Yeah.
And you go be this person in a world, and you have someone who's in charge of the world who runs it and makes everything happen. And you can do whatever you want. You can follow the storyline if you want. You can go off on random adventures and do crazy things. You can go be the king who slays, or the knight that slays the dragon and gets the princess.
Yeah.
You can go beat the dragon. Like,
It's very imaginative.
it's very in your head.
And then you roll a dice, and basically the dice decides whether you succeed or don't at something. Like you could
So
basically
is it
choose
all up to the dice?
yeah.
pretty much, yeah. So you have like a dungeon master who will basically be like, let's say I'm going to use an insane example here. And so you're the Dungeon Dragon guy. So you could just tell me if I'm just stupid in this. But
like
let's say I wanted to make an atomic bomb and just blow it up right there on the spot. The dungeon master would be like, all right, you have to roll a 20 for this, right? Like it's a 1 through 20 die, right?
Yeah. 20-sided dice.
Yeah, it's a 20-sided die. And so basically the dungeon master decides, hey, you have to roll this or higher to get what you want. So like the more extreme it is, like an atomic bomb, the higher the number is. But let's say if it's like, I'm going to cross this stream, they might be like, all right, if you roll a 3 or higher, then you get to cross the stream that's in front of you.
That's a very extreme example.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
But the dungeon master's kind of just like the arbiter of the world. Like
Okay.
he doesn't let you do anything without reason. Like if it doesn't make sense, then you can't do it. Obviously, it's like you still have to like do things that are logical and do make sense.
Oh, so
but
they'll shut it down if it's just like stupid?
yeah, if it's just stupid,
okay.
they do kind of well, it depends on who you're playing with, right?
Okay.
If that's what they want, then that's what they'll go for. But if you want a little bit more authenticity to it, if you will, then they'll kind of tame it a little bit.
Yeah. I've only ever watched people play it. Like the Pardon My Take guys from Barstool, they do it every once in a while and they just do it just being jackoffs. So for them, it's like atomic bomb. All right, you have to roll a 20. Like for them, it's basically nothing's like off limits. It's just like do it, but if you're going to have to roll high, right? So they do it like that, which is funny.
Okay. Well, to answer your question, I'm trying to think like what's the nerdiest thing that I like. It would have to either be maybe is gardening.
Yeah,
Sure.
I think that
Either
qualifies.
gardening or like crypto.
I was gonna say Bitcoin is the one I thought.
Yeah,
you would
crypto
say.
works. Yeah.
Crypto's kind of nerdy, huh?
Yeah.
You're into gardening.
Well, and it's
What?
You're into gardening.
I love gardening.
I love
I mean,
that.
I love having a garden.
yeah.
I don't know personally much about it, but gardening is important to me. I'll say that. We have to have a garden, have to have, food that we can produce here at the house.
Yeah.
That's what I like. Like Zach today was seeding a bunch of stuff today to get our garden ready. And I like it. Like I actively make sure he's taking care of it and make sure it's getting done. And I'll go through and like last year we had a gardener and I was like on her about like, hey, make sure all those weeds are out of there and like, get those strawberries and dialed in, So, but what would it be for you?
The reason I asked that is like a thing like gardening, for example, like that can be nerdy, right? Like depending on I think the term nerdy is so fascinating because it's like, I'm nerdy about sports. Like I care that much about sports. I care about analytics.
sports aren't nerdy inherently.
But yeah, exactly. That's the exact point that I'm trying to say. Sports aren't inherently nerdy, but like if you look at it the way that I look at it, it's going to come across as nerdy, right? So I feel like you can make anything nerdy, but I have a lot of things that I like doing that are considered like nerdy to the level that I take them. One being I love professional wrestling, like WWE.
Really?
Yeah, I love WWE.
All right.
So I grew up on it and just kind of kept watching
But
after it.
it's not real, right?
Yeah.
But you still like it.
So it's this, there's an older fandom that people don't understand this about wrestling fans, that there's an older set of WWE fans. I'm just using WWE as an example, but there are multiple like professional wrestling companies out there nowadays. But there are multiple fans who are older like me, who grew up on it, who understand that the product is quote unquote fake. What it is it's a scripted TV show to the people who understand it like I do, right? Yeah. And so when you watch it like that, when you watch it as a, you might watch, girls might watch The Bachelor In my opinion, exactly. In my opinion, The Bachelor is the exact same as WWE, but WWE, they do flips and like
slam into each other.
Exactly. And like the thing about wrestling that people don't understand too is like, yes, it's fake. Like, yes, you're pulling your punches, but try landing on your back like 100 times in a match or however many times they take bumps. And that stuff's not soft. Like I've actually taken a bump before. It's basically a thin layer of cushion on top of wood. And that's it. And so imagine just like falling flat on your back on wood 50 times in a match, however long it takes, whatever you want to do. Yeah. It's not fun. Like wrestlers get bruises all the time from it. And take in consideration, you know, going through a table onto the floor and stuff like that, where the floor is even harder. It's a lot more physically demanding than people realize.
I could see that.
Yeah. And so when you understand it's about storylines, right? Like you care about what the people say, you care about them. Like that's why talking is such an important part and acting is such an important part of WWE, which is you want people invested in the storyline. And then once you're invested in the storyline, a good storyline, you don't actually know who's going to win, right? There's some matches where you're like, oh, the champion's going up against a guy who hasn't won a match in a year. Yeah, the champion's probably going to win, right? Like that's stuff that you could just recognize and see.
Yes, yeah.
But then there's situations where you get to WrestleMania and you have a great storyline going and you don't know who's going to come out on top, right? So it's one of those things where like a lot of wrestling fans usually have a pretty good grasp of who's going to win and what's going to happen in certain situations. But then there are situations that blow you out of the water. Like
switch it up.
Like on Saturday.
What happened Saturday?
John Cena became a bad guy.
Oh, became a bad guy?
Yeah. So
I didn't even know he was still wrestling.
Yeah, he's on his final run. Like they've been doing this entire like farewell tour for John Cena.
Oh.
And the one thing that John Cena's never done throughout his entire career is it's what we call turning heel. Heel is a bad guy in wrestling terms.
That term.
Yeah. And John Cena, with the help of The Rock, turned heel and is now fighting for the championship at WrestleMania.
How did he turn heel? How did he become a bad guy?
He kicked the champion in the balls and then beat him up with the belt, bloodied him up. Travis Scott was there too. Slapped the shit out of the champion. It was
Travis
fucking
Scott
awesome.
smacked the champion?
Oh yeah, he smacked the shit out of him.
That's kind of
so
cool,
funny.
dude. With Travis Scott in the ring.
Yeah. So basically, John Cena wins this match to become the number one qualifier. The champion, Cody Rhodes, comes out, and they had been setting up the storyline where like The Rock wanted Cody Rhodes to sell his soul to him so he could become their corporate champion, bullshit, whatever. And so, yeah, Cody Rhodes comes out. Him and John Cena are in the ring together. And then The Rock comes out with Travis Scott, which was just mind-boggling. Just saying this stuff is just so like, this is why wrestling is great. Because you can just say shit like this and be like, yeah, this is normal.
Yeah.
Right? But yeah, Cody Rhodes basically shut down The Rock. And then John Cena like hugged him. Rock gave him a little like slit of the throat. John Cena then kicked Cody Rhodes in the nuts and then beat the shit out of him, bloodied him up. The Rock was whipping him with this weight belt, and Travis Scott was like also holding him down and like using sage in the corner. It was fucking awesome. This is what I'm saying about wrestling. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That like this stuff is so cool where it's just like, where else do you get this? Where else do you get Travis Scott making sage in a corner with The Rock hitting a guy with a weight belt? And John Cena like frowning in the ring, like looking all menacingly.
Dang, that is kind of interesting.
Yeah, you just don't get this in pop culture anywhere else.
You go to the live shows?
I've been to quite a few. Yeah, I've been to a WrestleMania in my life. Yeah, it was good. I'm not the type of guy who like actively seeks out going to it, and I'm not watching every single event live. Like I'm not sitting there at my desk watching everything. I'm more just like, all right, what happened? Let me go to Twitter and just see everything that happened. So I follow like the big shows. Like Saturday Night was a huge show because they're setting up for WrestleMania. So yeah, I'll watch the important stuff. But that's like, I love stuff like that where it's like people can nerd out on stuff and just be super excited about that, right? Like that's how I feel about podcasting too. Like I feel like I nerd about podcasting because like no one cares about
all the technical intricacies.
Yeah, no one cares about the editing process. No one cares about the video cameras that we're using, whatever.
Yeah.
They don't, but they do when they need it.
Yeah,
right?
exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, like me.
Yeah.
It's like,
I don't like tell me what to get.
Yeah, exactly.
Or I just get it for me.
Yeah. Here's my card, get it for me. Well, and I wrote this paper and college. It was about discourse communities. I don't know if you guys have ever heard about those. But basically a discourse community is like a group of people, kind of like we were talking about for like video games and stuff, where it's like a group of people, a community that comes together and they have their own like vernacular, they have their own terms, their knowledge that like only that group knows, right? So like me saying the term heel, John Cena turns heel, that's a wrestling term, right? Podcasting has the same thing. Dungeons and Dragons, exact same thing. I'm sure gardening has the exact same thing, where it's like, if you talk to someone who's into gardening, you're going to use specific terms to match that, like what you're talking about. It's the same thing with Watt. Me just saying Watt is a discourse community in itself, right? Like that's completely different vernacular to anyone else. If I say we're going on a Ludus in 2 weekends, who knows what that means except for guys who are part of it, right?
Yeah.
So I've always been super fascinated by those discourse communities because everyone has so many of them. And that's why like I think people look at them as these nerdy things that they're a part of, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, I've always been fascinated by that concept.
That's actually true because you could even say that Watt's pretty nerdy in a way.
To some extent, yeah.
Like it's like a bunch of dudes that like pay to hang out with each other.
Yeah, we're in a men's group with 50 guys who pay together to get together once
like
a quarter
expensive.
and have weekly calls.
Yeah.
Like when you say it like
about
that,
our feelings.
exactly. Yeah, we talk about our feelings. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, stuff like that. When you say it like that, and it just sounds simple, like you can make almost anything sound nerdy. And that's kind of the glory of these discourse communities is you'll be like, yeah, it's a little nerdy, but I love it. Like I'm a part of it. I'm happy to be a part of this community. Right.
Yeah.
So I love that side of things.
That's a really interesting perspective I hadn't considered. Yep. What did you call them?
Discourse communities. That's what they're called.
Just like niche community. That's like,
yeah.
So it's communities with like tailored conversation or tailored terminology as well, or is that?
Yeah. I mean, there's rarely going to be like a community that's not a discourse community, right? Like it's kind of hard. Like maybe, I don't know. I don't even know what an example would be.
Well, it kind of lies in line with culture though. Like the culture of a community, it's what you talk about. It's what you live your day in and day out. Like me and snowboarding, when I'm at work, the culture there is snowboarding. So I can say words like the camber, the rocker, the sidewall edges, all that kind of stuff. And to me, that's all normal conversation. I don't think like twice about it. But then when I have someone walk in the door who's looking at stuff, who's a beginner, I'm like, oh, I have to dial back my terminology.
It bends like this.
Exactly.
Yeah. Well, it's when it does an N or a U, like I have to slow it down and explain it in a way that's like normal conversation where that's within that's that discourse community where it's like we're having those conversations that are tailored into that specific terminology that we all understand.
Exactly. And I think everyone has those. And I think it's important to have those. Have you guys heard about the third space that people talk about?
No, what's that?
No. So the concept of the third space is you have 2 spaces, your home and your work. You need a third space that you can go basically like be yourself and just be authentic and like be what you want to be. People talk about that as the gym being a third space. People who go to the bars frequently might talk about it as a bar, or people who go out and party might talk about it as like clubbing and stuff like that. Like you guys might say your third space is like the mountains. Like that might be,
that's probably one of my third
like
spaces.
that might be your third space.
I swear I have like 8 spaces.
Yeah.
And like some of my spaces are the same. Like this is my work. My house is my work, my home, my gym, and my podcast studio now.
Yeah.
I'm going to grab something to drink really quick.
No, you're
you guys
good.
want anything?
I'm good. I got a water.
I'm all right.
Are you going to get a Corona?
Yeah, I fucking know that.
I could feel it.
You could feel that?
I could feel it.
Dude,
It's Corona time.
fucking get it this shit, bro.
It's the former.
Myself. Who cares?
It's the former drinker in me.
You want one?
Sure, I'll have one. What do you got? Corona, of course?
Corona, of course.
I'll have a Corona. Why not?
Yeah, bud.
Yeah, bud.
There we go.
What's wrong?
That's
Why
the
not?
definition of a true friend. Doesn't let you drink alone. I was about to look like an alcoholic.
If I didn't stop, I would.
If you what?
If I didn't stop, or hadn't stopped, I should say.
I didn't know you stopped. Why'd you stop? You have a problem?
No, never had a problem.
That's like everybody is saying.
Yeah, exactly.
If you stop drinking, it's like,
Oh no.
sorry. I didn't know you had such a bad
Yeah,
problem.
exactly.
I won't let you know about it then. All right.
I always forget how good beer tastes when it hits the tongue.
When it's frozen like that.
That's a cold, nice Corona.
That is
and this
cold.
is
It looks cold.
Yeah. This is going to loosen me up.
Looks good.
Last half of the podcast is going to be...
Last half, we're running at 2 hours again.
I guess so. I don't know. How deep are we?
Or an hour 8. Sorry, Nick. You'll have to...
Oh, no, you're good.
A lot of work.
Yeah, it's up to you how long we go because you're just going to have to be the one to edit it. So
You guys are good. Whenever you, however long you guys want to go.
full send,
I'm
dude.
chilling.
Bro, have you done much traveling?
Not as much, no. I've traveled a lot within the States, but not outside very much.
Dude, I have an idea.
Go ahead.
You should convince Jimmy that he needs to do a adventure trip podcast.
Yeah, and then go with him.
People get interviewed on the podcast while they're at the adventure trip at these dope locations with
That'd be
these
sick.
dope backgrounds. So you have to come with us to New Zealand in January.
Yeah, I
so
wonder
we
if
can
I could
film podcasts while we're there.
Yeah, I wonder if I could convince him that's why I need to go to Spain.
Dude, I forgot about Spain.
Yeah.
We absolutely need to record some Spanish podcasts, bro, and not in Spanish, but in Spain.
That'd be sick. But
I feel like that'd be an easy sell.
it would be an easy sell for Jimmy. However,
You don't want to go?
Dakota would just do all that. He would have
No, it
Dakota.
has to be you because you host it. Doesn't even make any sense.
Well, yeah, but he would just have Dakota bring equipment and then he would just host it. Then again, he might not even have the time to do that. I don't know.
I don't know. I feel like Jimmy likes to plan those things pretty structured, yet very loose.
Yeah, that's fair.
You should at least try. Worst case, he says no. Best case, you're in Spain.
I'll ask him.
Would you run with the Bulls?
Yeah.
You would do it?
Yeah. I'd fuck around. Run with
It's
some
not
balls.
too bad.
No. Figure
Seems
it out.
manageable.
Yeah. Are you coming?
I'd run for a little bit and then fall down.
My bank account isn't that big.
Put it on a credit card. That's what I did.
Yeah.
Yeah, you just do the payments and then you put it on a credit card.
Smart.
So you pay it over time, and then each month you get an extra month to pay the credit card.
Yeah, I've never ran a credit card that way.
Yeah, neither have
I treat my credit card like a debit card. If I don't have the funds, I don't spend the money.
Yeah,
Look,
exactly.
you want to see? Yeah, I try to do that. I'll be honest with you. I've never paid credit card interest once in my entire life. However,
I do believe that.
what?
So I do believe that actually.
However, this month I might have to.
Jesus.
That might be.
Yeah, I bought a Lambo and
Oh, yeah. That
I
makes
spent
sense.
all my money.
Yeah.
I literally spent all my money. It was crazy.
Yeah.
I can't believe I did that.
That's wild.
I literally spent all my money on a Lamborghini.
Do you like the Lambo, though?
I do. I
So excited.
It doesn't run, and I have to spend like a
Have you
lot
seen it
more
yet,
money.
Nick?
I haven't seen it.
Oh, we'll go
well, I
out
saw it
there.
on Instagram, but
No.
We'll go check it out after.
It's cool.
in person.
yeah.
It was worth spending all my money. And it was crazy because I was talking to Jed about this at the beginning of the year, and I was like, things are going good. And it's like, I was like kind of reminiscing on the old days, and I was like, man, I almost want to just lose everything and have to start over. And I feel like I almost self-sabotaged myself with this situation. Because I honestly don't fucking know what the next month is going to look like. I think it could get pretty bad, to be honest with you, because I just did that.
Yeah.
I drained my account to get that. I think I have like, after I pay payroll and bills and stuff, I'll have like $3,000,
Wow.
and then $33,000 in credit cards that I have to pay off in like 3 weeks.
Jesus. That's crazy, dude.
Gotta sell some roofs. Put some roofs on
You gotta
houses.
get paid for some roofs, bro.
That's yeah.
My customers owe me, I don't even know how much. Probably more than that.
Yeah.
For sure more than that, actually. Yeah, definitely more than that.
All right, so
That's crazy.
The secret is just to get everybody to pay you.
Well, it's tough because I also owe people roofs.
So it's a cycle.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so I have like maybe 30 in the queue that I've been like half paid for. So I got to build those, and I got to pay for all those, and I got to get paid for all those, plus the roofs I've already paid. So we're definitely in experimental territory.
Growing.
We're growing. Now, if I absolutely have to, I have crypto I can sell.
True.
So I have that.
Yeah.
My truck's paid off. I can just take it down to CarMax and fucking have them write me a $30,000 check, and then
Voila.
have to throw my ladder in the Corvette for a little while so I can afford to go get another truck.
Yeah.
Add the ski rack to the Corvette as well.
Yes, ski rack on the Corvette. But there's things we can move around, but yeah, I don't think I've ever pinched myself
Quite this tight.
This thin.
I'm squeezing right now. Like, I kind of impulse bought that car, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I believe it.
But YOLO. right?
But it's a Lambo.
It should be a fun story when you come out on the other end of this. It's like, yeah, I could spend all my money on that.
And it's still the cheapest Lambo in the world. Like,
I think so.
I don't think you can beat it.
No. I hope my boy gets it fixed up. D'Artagnan, who's on episode 2. Because bro, if he got it fixed up, that's definitely going to relieve a lot of stress off me. Because it's like, cool, now I can liquidate it at any point and be profitable.
Yeah, exactly.
But right now, it would be kind of hard to liquidate it for very much profit, and I would also hate to back out of the process at this point.
Yeah.
Anyways, yeah, I'm kind of an idiot when it comes to that stuff. I swear I just get lucky, dude. I just get lucky.
You'll figure it out.
Yeah. We need to figure out how to make money on this podcast. Got any ideas?
You don't.
All right. Step 2.
Oh, that's the trick. Step 1 is you start a podcast. Step 2 is you don't ever make any money. And then step 3, you somehow finally get big enough to where you can finally go get a sponsor.
We have a sponsor.
Yeah. Do you get paid from the sponsor?
Happy Roofing.
Yeah. Does the sponsor pay you money directly?
It's going to our individual pockets.
Yeah.
But they did buy us all of this equipment.
That is true.
And they pay for our studio.
That is true.
We get free studio access.
Yeah.
Which is kind of nice.
Yeah. It's a nice sponsor.
Very generous.
What I'm saying is takes about 10,000 monthly downloads for sponsors to actually consider you.
To be willing.
Yeah.
For like legit sponsors to be like, hey, we're going to give you X amount of dollars just to give us give us the ad read to start the show, to end the show, everything.
Here's my thought process behind having Happy Roofing sponsor.
Yeah.
Right? If I constantly talk about how we're hiring and people like me, and then they want to come out and work for me and do sales, and they're selling 10, 15 roofs a month, that for sure pays for the podcast.
100%.
Roundabout way.
So it might work. I just need to get up to maybe 500 to 600 viewers.
Yeah.
And then really come up with a solid ad for Happy Roofing where it's like, guys, we are hiring. We need highly motivated sales reps to come out. And if I could use it for recruiting,
Yeah.
it might make us financially sustainable.
Yeah. The way you make money from podcasting is not through sponsors for your podcast. It's through all of the other resources that podcasts provide, right? So exactly like you said, this gives you a platform to go out and find other people to bring into your business. That's where the money comes from out of this podcast, right? For some people, that's the connections that they make. For some people, that's, the business that podcasting nowadays is the new business lunch, right? If you have a podcast, you just say, hey, come on the podcast. You don't say, hey, let's go get lunch. You just say, hey, come on the podcast.
That's an interesting
And then you might get new deals out of it afterwards. So that's how you make money in podcasting, is all of the benefits that come from having a podcast. It's not from your podcast being successful enough to where you can get ad revenue. So, yeah.
I didn't know that.
That's dope.
Yeah.
I feel like that's already kind of working because Popoff is out here to be on our podcast.
Yeah.
And he's got a very big Instagram account.
Yeah.
I was not expecting to have our third guest have 250,000 followers on Instagram.
Yeah.
$250,000.
That's exactly what you're looking for.
And so it's dope. If they can help me connect with people,
Exactly.
and I can just get awesome people over to my house, spend more time with them, and develop better relationships,
Yep.
this thing's paying for itself as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah. That's what it's there for. That's
You
what
wouldn't
it's
be
supposed
over
to be.
here hanging out with us if it wasn't for the podcast.
No.
I wouldn't be here.
Well, actually, I take it back.
I came out here.
You guys both came out here one time.
Yeah.
Before the podcast.
One time.
Yeah,
Shots
we
and
went
guns.
Almost 6 months ago.
dirt biking and shooting.
Some shots
and
and
now
guns, yeah.
you come out here multiple times a week, and this is your second
And I've
time
been
in
out
the
here
last couple weeks.
Yeah, twice in the last 2 weeks.
Yeah, I'm sure you'll be back out here as well.
Yeah.
Well,
Sure, I'll be about.
I was gonna say, so we have 4 mics, right? What's too many people on one pod?
More than 4.
More than 4. Four's.
Yeah, 4 is always you don't want more than 4.
Is there a sweet spot? Is it better to have 2? Is it better to have 3? Better to have 4?
I say the best spot is 2, just because that's the most natural podcast that you will ever have, because it's a conversation between 2 people, right?
Well, shit. We're already at 3. Always.
I think 3 is the next best, and I personally, I think 4 is too much. I hate doing 4-person podcasts. For me, 3 is usually the max that I will go. but 4 is the max that anybody ever should ever go. If you have 5 or more people on a podcast, you are doing something wrong. You do not need 5 people talking.
It's just a shit show at that point.
You do not need 5 people talking.
Everybody talking over everyone.
Exactly.
There's no congruent. Yeah.
Yeah. Plus the odds that all 5 people are actually interesting are very low.
Or all 5 are contributing.
Yes. Like that's the other thing too, is there are so many people who just don't contribute to the conversation.
I understand.
Yeah. And so it's kind of tough to have that many people because at the end of the day, you'll just have one person who just doesn't say anything. So,
and then a couple other people who just want to talk to fill in space. Don't think about any value. They're just like, I don't know. Oh, yeah,
exactly. Yeah. They're just the people who enjoy talking.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's been kind of fun trying to figure out the balance and the dynamic of like, because obviously I don't want there to be like dead space in the conversation.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I don't want to say anything just to say something. You know
yeah.
what I mean?
And you're never going to be the type of guy who's like, I have 3 questions that I'm going to ask you on this podcast. We're 100% asking these and that's it. Right.
Yeah.
Like you might have a little prep on like where the conversation wants to go.
We kind of tried that on our first one. And I think we asked one of those questions.
Yeah.
Maybe 2.
Yeah.
I think
maybe 3.
I don't even know if we used the board at all for that. I just kind of where the conversation went anyway.
Yeah, it was just where the conversation went anyway.
That right there is also just the most that you'll ever really do preparing for a podcast. It's just have a whiteboard and write down questions.
Yeah.
Like when I was doing my podcast in California, the one that we were studying for a lot, I had one of those like full body mirrors that like slid. So it was like the 2 full body mirrors all the way up and down. That was like part of my closet. And me and my friend, we used to just take like Casebolt markers and just write on the on the mirror. And so like my entire mirror was just full of like concepts and stuff that we were working on because our entire podcast was about culture. And so there was so much to talk about. Like that's why we were doing so much research.
What type of culture?
Everything. Like like we were talking about specific types of culture and then like different aspects that make up a good culture and then what those concepts look like. Like one of the things that we talked about was tension. And how tension works within a culture of like, let's use business, for example. Like you need that tension and there's a lot more that went into it. So I'm going to keep this in probably simpler terms than it actually comes across as. But you need that tension there. You need to feel kind of the disconnect in a way to be able to then allow people to go in the direction that actually works for them, right? You almost need a tension between, let's say, a manager
or tension.
Tension. Like you almost need that tension. Like
people to be kind of like nervous or something?
No, like almost just to be at like opposite ends. Or to be like so close to doing something. I don't know, like sexual attention, for example, right? Like if you have sexual attention with someone, you can feel that. Happening. Yeah, like you can feel that. It's close to happening. There's something that's there and it's just kind of sitting in that space.
Okay, I think I know what that's like.
Because when you're when you're just sitting in that space of like, what could happen here? You're always playing through those scenarios, right? Mm-hmm. And this is just an example, like I said, of other stuff that we talked about on the podcast, but it was concepts like that, where it's like, if you have a good tension within your culture, let's say for business, you're always having people think about what's next, right? So you're always having people focused on what's ahead because they don't know what, clicks. They don't know what's going to 100% work. So it always leads people to be like, all right, we're 80% there. We're 90% there, but you never feel like you're 100% there.
Because you just move the goalposts.
Exactly. Yep. So yeah, it was, like I said, there was a lot more, especially that episode. That episode got really convoluted from what I remember. But yeah, we were doing stuff like that where it was like prepare for multiple hours, have quotes written down that we would quote throughout the podcast, have our entire mirror built out of everything that we wanted to talk about. Like it was,
dude, I love this, bro.
It was a lot of work. It was a lot of fun. And that podcast got pretty big. I would say we were doing that in Southern California at the time. So
how big is pretty big?
We probably had about 5,000 monthly downloads.
Damn.
Yeah.
That's decent.
Yeah.
And how many episodes?
For that one, we only ended up doing about 40. We had it pretty small, but it was just such like I don't know. There was something about it that was right time, right place, because it was like right before COVID, and then it kind of bled into COVID.
Oh, when everyone was home and
Exactly.
consuming content.
Yeah, like it was right time, right place.
thing.
Yeah, it was right time, right place for sure.
I was like,
and we were just providing the interesting content that made people think. So it was there was very much like the entire podcast just made you think throughout it. And I think that was what really gravitated people towards it, especially in Southern California. Southern California, I think it gets a bad rap. There's a lot of really competitive people out there, and they're always striving for greatness.
Yeah.
So people loved our kind of thoughts with it. And we had merch. We would like go to the beach and like ask people questions and stuff like that, almost man on the street type deal. So
it'll be fun.
yeah, we were doing a lot of work for that.
Why'd you stop doing it?
The co-host that I was doing it with, he ended up moving just because of COVID circumstances.
I'll fucking move.
Yeah, that's fair.
I'll move where you are if I need to.
Cheers to that, brother.
Yeah, if anything, you're moving closer out here. Yeah.
You should just move in.
Yeah, at this point.
Think about it.
When he moves, just move in here.
Yeah, we'll just buy out our lease.
Think about it.
We could probably figure something out.
Bro, we would film so many fucking podcasts.
Every day, whoever walks in that front door, be ready.
Come on upstairs.
Because if we're both here,
Yeah, you guys are done.
you're getting at least 30 minutes. We'll get 2 hours out of most of them, though.
I wish we could have got my mom on the pod.
It's been so fun. We
That
got
would've
her
been cool.
going for a minute.
She was rowdy.
That would have been cool.
He stands up for her stories
Oh, really?
It was so fun.
multiple times.
She's got some energy.
She has to walk into the kitchen to explain it.
She's got to physically do the action of what
Yeah,
she was
yeah,
explaining. It was great.
He's like a performance artist.
Yeah. Standing podcast?
So, yeah. You'd have to put a mic on her.
It's got to be,
yeah.
mobile.
Get the mobile.
Because she'd like pace around.
Oh,
Yeah.
she goes.
Gets up.
That would be funny. You just have the camera here. You just have the person pacing back and forth.
Dude, that's what we
got
would have
tracker
to do.
on it.
Just in and out of the shot. That'd be awesome.
It'd be fun.
No, you don't even follow her with the camera. You just have her going in and out of the shot.
In out of frame. It's like, all right, well, all right.
That
keep
would be
going.
awesome. That would be funny.
We'll work on it.
Yeah.
I think we could convince her.
Yeah, you could probably get something set up.
She just has a high guard with being on camera. She doesn't like to be on camera and be recorded because then I'm in possession of it. If she
Yeah.
doesn't like it, just trust issues with me, like posting it or something and making her not look in the best light, which I would never do.
Yeah.
I would let her review it, but she's still concerned about it. She doesn't want. Maybe
Most
if it was on
people
her
don't.
camera or something.
Yeah. Most people don't.
Don't want to be on camera.
Yeah. I can't tell you the amount of people who walk into our studio. Dude, if you walk into Rookery Studios and you see the 3 cameras set up and you see the lights pointed on you and you see these nice chairs and microphones, it's intimidating. Like people walk into that studio and they go, wow, I did not realize this was this type of production. And they just get nervous immediately. I think it's actually, and that's kind of why, going back to the what makes a good podcast host is like, it's difficult to make that person kind of like calm down and get less nervous.
Make them feel comfortable.
Yeah. Especially in a studio built out like ours.
What's a good way to do that? What's a good way to calm people down?
Well, I think you
Besides
kind of already
beers.
gave us that
Yeah.
tip.
Beers. Yeah.
I think you honestly gave it our tip though with like the research and stuff. It's research things that they like and enjoy to talk about because then you can have a looser conversation about something to get it started.
Yeah.
And then you can kind of dive in once they're more comfortable with the space and in the environment.
Yeah. The goal is if you're doing an hour-long podcast, you want your guest to be comfortable within 10 minutes. So you start out by talking about them, right? And you start out and
Hyping
talking
them up.
Exactly. Let them, introduce themselves, share a little bit about their story and just kind of like freshen it up, right? Having the one thing that I love, and it's why I love the Watt podcast format so much, because like that was the one thing, like if you look at my notes, the thing I wrote at every start of the podcast that I listened to was they ask why they joined Watt or how they found out about Watt, right? So that's why every time I start the podcast, I ask that exact same question. Because one, it loosens them up. It's just them telling their story about themselves.
Yeah.
2, it's vulnerable enough, but not like insanely vulnerable to where they're going to feel even more comfortable because they're sharing like something that's actually emotional and like actually means something to them.
Yeah.
And then 3, it just gets them talking about stuff that is important to them. Most people actually care about Watt who are in it. They look at it and they go, this is awesome. Like I actually care to share.
Yeah.
So it's an easy way to just open people up. If you don't have that type of question to start, if you don't have like a consistent basis, then you got to do it, a little bit more conventional, right? Just figuring out what matters to them and asking questions surrounding that, starting it off that way, and then taking the conversation where it needs to go from there. So the first 10 minutes are always the most important part of the podcast.
How do you think we did on our first 10 minutes?
Pretty good. Yeah.
What would you say on a scale of 1 to 10?
I don't know. This episode or the first one that I edited?
Let's do both. Let's do this one first.
This one, here's my thing. I'm pretty hypercritical on myself.
Okay.
I don't think I'm a good podcast guest.
Really?
Yeah.
I have to disagree.
Because I just talk about podcasts. I come on a podcast to be a guest and to talk about the podcast. Like, that's why I don't think I'm the best guest.
You sit down and you critique everything. You're like,
exactly.
that's what's wrong. That's what's wrong.
People
Fix
who
it.
like podcasts, I swear, all of them want their own podcast.
I think that's true.
People always want their own podcast. Oh, I love to have my own podcast. Da-da-da.
Yeah.
That's so I hear it all the time. So it's like, if you can actually talk about podcasting, what it takes to start a podcast, how to do it, I feel like that's actually interesting information. People listen to podcasts because they podcast.
I agree. I 100% think there's information to be had there. But like I said, always hypercritical on myself with that. So I always don't think I'm the most interesting guest. So when you kind of just start off with this podcast being like, so you work in podcasting, you know, I always go, well, that's not going to be like great content. So yeah, let's say 6 out of 10 for me and like I don't know, 3 out of 10 for Ethan.
Not bad.
We'll take it.
It's a 9 total.
Yeah, it's a 9 total between 2 episodes.
Hey, we're 100% improvement here. Like,
Dude, 100%.
Yeah, exactly. Yes.
3 episodes, 4 episodes. We've already doubled our production.
Yeah, 2 extra
At
growth.
this rate, we'll be 800 out of 10 in just a
Exactly.
couple months.
Exactly.
We'll just double it every few episodes.
I love it.
compounds pretty quick.
Very much.
But yeah, I'm also just very hypercritical on podcasting entirely. So
Yeah. Okay, well, we can switch it up a little bit here. Let me see if I can get a little vulnerable.
what do you want to talk about?
You got any ladies in your life?
Not currently. I was telling him, this is funny. I asked out the girl who works our front desk at our apartment complex. Cause like I've seen her a bunch of times. She's gorgeous. I asked her out and she was like, I don't think I'm allowed to say yes to that. I don't like, we're not allowed to fraternize with the guests. And I was like, that's bullshit. I was like, that's annoying.
Is that what you said?
No, I didn't say that to her.
That's
but like,
fucking bullshit.
That's where my mind immediately went. Because what I said to her was like, oh, I didn't even think about that. Because I was like, that doesn't like, that's probably just a lie.
Yeah. Is that what you said? You're like, oh, I didn't even think about that.
Yeah, that's what I said to her. Like when she said, I don't know if I'm allowed to because we're not allowed to like, and I was like, oh, I didn't even think about that.
We can test this theory. I'll go ask her next.
Yeah, you should go ask her.
Dude, just ask for her Instagram.
That'd be funny.
Everybody says yes to the Instagram.
Yeah, that's true.
Because they're like, everybody has my Instagram. Right?
Yeah.
That's a Tate trick.
That's true.
And I think it works.
It is. It 100% does. But yeah,
The subtlety.
Yeah.
that's true. No, I was looking for a date for Friday night for the Watt B1 conference. Because we're doing like that dinner and like country dancing night.
I'm going to be gone.
Yeah, you're not going to be there.
I got work changed so I can be there, but I'm solo on that one.
Yeah. So I'm like, should I find
Not too
someone?
late.
You can find someone.
It's not too late.
Get on Hinge, start writing.
Yeah.
Start swiping.
Literally what I'm doing.
Really?
I have 2 more prospects from the gym that I need to ask. I am to the point though, to where like I'm just asking girls out.
Straight up.
Like I don't care about getting denied or anything. Like I'm just to the point where like, all right,
What's
time
your
to share my energy
your-
with someone.
pickup line?
What?
What's your pickup line?
Like at the gym?
At the gym, wherever you go. Like,
So at the gym, I'm pretty comfortable with a lot of the people there. And so I'm able to just kind of spark up a conversation with someone that leads to something. And at this point, I'm literally just like, hey, are you free Friday night? Like, see what their
straight
response
for it.
Yeah, see what their response is, and then say, yeah, I want to take you to dinner. Let's say 7:00, right? Like I've been pretty straight up with it. The other line I've been using, like if I don't know the person, I saw this on a podcast by it was Lil Dicky. You know who Lil Dicky is or whatever? I love Lil Dicky. He said, I forget exactly what the line was, but it's you go up to someone and you just ask, hey, sorry, what's your availability of being hit on right now? Because they immediately just go, what? And you're like, oh, like, are you single? Like, and you just kind of like make it a joke and then you just kind of like elaborate on it. Like, what's your deal? You know, you just kind of go that route with it. I did that to a girl at the grocery store and she thought it was very charming. And I got the Instagram and I was like, that's good. That's a good line. I actually like this line. It works. So yeah, but I am to the point where it's like, I almost just don't need a line anymore.
These gloves.
You just walk up to a girl and just say, "Hey, I just thought you were really pretty. Just want to see if you're free Friday night for dinner, whatever it is." Right? Like most girls don't like that kind of like intense right off the bat. But if you then position that into just, well, hey, let me grab your Instagram. I want to talk a little bit, and then find a time that works for you.
Yeah.
So then you make it a little bit more casual.
Yeah, I think it might help to be a little more casual at the beginning of that.
I think so too.
Like if you're
I'm
like,
just
are you grabbing those eggs or are those for me?
Yeah.
Or something, I don't know. Like something small, and it's like, well, let's just go talk about it over dinner then, I guess.
Yeah, exactly.
Instagram. I don't know. Like,
No, you could definitely do that.
if you can get them to smile first or like laugh first, that's money. Do you have live game? You go pick up girls face to face?
Not well enough.
Do you have an online game?
Probably worse, honestly.
Because online game's easier.
I'd rather have a conversation in person than I would online any day.
So much more effective.
Yeah.
I agree.
Because everybody wants to do the online stuff because it is easier to do because it takes less courage. But then it's like everybody's also doing it. Whereas like you could set yourself apart if you're actually willing to talk about it.
Yeah.
It's like just going up and talking to a girl face to face today is like different than what a lot of guys will do.
Yeah.
It takes a lot of courage.
I've been trying to follow Jimmy's thing, which is just if you have a thought, do it. Right. And so like for me, it's like if I see a girl and I'm like, all right, I need to go talk to her, I just do it. I'd say I'm probably like
badass, dude.
What?
That's badass.
It's insanely difficult. I'd say I'm like at a 75% clip right now, but I think that's a pretty good thing.
That's really good.
Yeah. So
75% of the time you do it?
yeah. I mean, 75% with just that concept entirely, which is just if I have a thought, just do it. Right.
Yeah.
Like if I have a thought to, I need to go to the gym for a second time or something like that, just do it. Right.
Yeah. You need to jerk off, just do it.
Maybe not that much. But yeah, it's stuff like that. Like Jimmy talked about how he used to do that, where it's just if he had a thought, he wouldn't sit on it, he would just do it. Right. So yeah, I've been trying to do more of that. I'd say about 75% of the time I do it,
dude.
Which is a good number. I'll take that.
That's a really good number. I'm trying to think. There's a lot of stuff I puss out on.
Yeah. I think everyone does.
Maybe be better about that.
Yeah. Well, that's like, I forgot who I was talking to. Dan Lake, maybe, about this. Where I was like, I actually don't look at my goals as much. I look at when we went to Moab, one of the things that I ended up doing in my journaling was I wrote down every fear that I've had in life that has like controlled my life.
Mm-hmm.
And so I have a list of like 25 different fears that I used to just let control me. And so I don't look at my goals as much anymore. Like I know a lot of people look at their goals daily, weekly, whatever it may be. I actually look at that list.
Your fears?
Yeah. Because I go, all right, what have I done this week that's falling back into these fears? And I say, all right, if I've done that, I need to overcome that fear. I need to face that head on. Right. So if that fear is complacency, for example, like complacency is one thing that I wrote down, which is just like feeling stuck. So if I feel stuck, if I feel like I'm just like not actually progressing or anything like that, I go, all right, how do I progress? Right? How do I look this dead in the face and say, do something better than what I'm doing? Mm-hmm. Like get out of this complacency. It's a little easier with some things than it is with others. Like it's hard for me to like go face a snake every day, but like a snake is something that I have written down on there.
Really?
I hate snakes.
You should get a pet snake.
You should.
I will be getting us a pet snake.
So sick if you got a pet snake.
I'm not doing that.
Do you think like a 6-foot python?
It can't even bite you.
He can stay in our living room. Oh, he'll bite.
Oh, he'll bite. Yeah.
6 foot. Big enough to bite.
Yeah. We'll make sure that we get a snake that can bite.
That would be so cool if you got a snake.
Rattlesnake? What about a rattlesnake?
That's too far.
Poison.
Yeah, no.
Way too far.
Yeah, no, I do not like snakes.
You ever
Not
caught
like
one?
snakes.
A gardener snake, a little one.
You caught one?
Yeah. So I have cousins who live out like middle of nowhere, Colorado. Mm-hmm. So we used to farm life with them once
You just be like, okay.
once a summer. We would just go out with them and just do random stuff. And yeah, that's where I got my fear of snakes is out there.
You got bit?
They're just everywhere.
Oh, shit.
And I was just like, these things are creepy. But yeah, like they just
The body with nothing.
exactly
Just the body.
just makes my skin crawl. But yeah,
You have nightmares about them?
nah. Even as a kid, I didn't have nightmares about them. I had nightmares about heights as a kid. That was my biggest thing. Yeah, heights is.
Heights?
Oh yeah, heights was the number one thing I wrote down on that list. So I was like, I'm not jumping off this cliff.
Really?
Yeah.
You ever gone skydiving?
No.
You gotta come skydiving, dude.
Well, you're about to, aren't
We're
you?
about to in 2 weeks, bro.
Oh yeah.
We gotta go skydiving
Yeah,
too. I haven't
looking
been
forward
yet
to
either.
it.
We gotta go. We'll go.
It'll be great. I'm really looking forward to that one.
It'll be mellow, dude. It's honestly pretty relaxing.
How long is a typical fall on a skydive?
Like a minute.
Oh,
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's not bad.
A minute of free fall.
Yeah.
And then under canopy, it depends how aggressive it's flown.
Yeah, that's fair.
Could be anywhere from 5 minutes on the low end for a tandem to maybe like 10 minutes on the high end.
okay.
I think it'll be easier for me to go skydiving than it was to jump off the cliff.
So you can see the ground.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Skydiving will be easier. Because, I mean, skydiving, like you're flying. You don't get scared on planes, do you?
Not
Maybe
really.
a little bit?
Maybe like if there's really bad turbulence, but
I
not
get
really.
scared on planes. I get nervous. Yeah.
Lately, I mean,
Really
yes.
Crash, dude.
Yeah. Lately, I have
Especially
been more scared of
lately.
planes. Yes.
Yeah.
Like I've got 3 flights coming up in the next 2 weeks because I'm flying to Arizona and then flying from there to Colorado and then Colorado back.
Are you flying?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm driving.
Are you really
Driving?
Taking the van.
That makes sense.
Sick. When
I
are you
have
gonna do?
PTSD ever since Powell. Like Powell.
Why?
Because I slept on the fucking living room and I slept like shit and I was just mad at everyone the whole time. So I was just like, this is too expensive.
Tell me if you're sleeping on the floor. We'll get you a bed.
No, there was no beds.
Well,
I was sleeping on the.
Yeah,
I was
that
sleeping
one
on a
was-
bed. It was just around so many people.
Oh.
Or like even when we sleep in the bunk rooms and there's like 8 people, 10 people, and everyone's up late and everyone's so loose. Like I've brought my van on the last couple. And it's been a game changer.
Being able to step away and sleep.
Being able to step away, sleep, have my own little quiet. Like I get really grumpy if my sleep's messed up
Yeah, me
by
too.
somebody else.
Yeah, me too.
Somebody else messes with my sleep. I do not like that whatsoever.
Dude, I've been so lucky on my sleep for these trips.
Really?
Like
You
I've
getting
gotten
good spots.
gotten great situations.
Oh, dude.
Eagle Mountain, I had an entire room to myself.
I've not been this fortunate.
Yeah, Powell.
Slept on couches.
Powell the first.
pads.
Yeah, Powell the first night I had to sleep outdoors on the pad, like on one of the decks, and then like one of the nights there was just a random couch that like had a pull-out bed that was just completely available. So I was like, all right, I'm taking that. So I ended up being chill on that.
I mean, I had a big bed at Powell. It was just
Hard to sleep with so many people.
too many people around. And I was like, I was the guy that was like, "Okay, guys, like it's late, you know."
Yeah.
And still, people just staying up.
Yeah, it happens. That's what we do. We like to hang out late at night and talk.
Yeah.
And then wake up at 4 a.m. and
I
go
wake up at 4 in the morning.
do something.
And go hike Camelback Mountain.
Have you guys, either one of you, done an adventure trip before?
No.
I haven't.
Bro, they are so fast paced and like jam packed, and you stay up so late and you get up so early.
See, I feel like I wouldn't like that. Like to go back to the traveling thing. So like I said, I've been around the States a bunch of times, but I got my passport like near the end of 2022. And then I quit my job to start 2023. So I didn't really have the funds to like go travel and stuff. But by the end of 2023 in October, I was like, all right, I need to take a vacation. I need to take a trip. So I went to England by myself.
Oh, sick.
Yeah.
Awesome.
And it was like, it was awesome. And I was like, this is great. Like just going on trips by myself and just being able to do whatever I want.
Oh, I love solo traveling.
Like it was amazing. So I feel like I would hate what
That's a
yours was.
vacation.
Yeah.
That's what I would consider a
That's fair.
vacation.
An adventure trip is not a vacation.
An adventure
That's
trip
fair.
is not a vacation. It's traveling. Like you are moving, right?
Yeah, that's fair.
There's
High energy.
definitely a difference between like going somewhere, chilling, settling in, like resting,
Relaxing.
exactly.
right? The adventure trips, you have to come back and rest.
Yeah, you have to plan days to relax. No, I will say one thing with Jimmy traveling. We've traveled a couple of times with him. It is usually high energy, fast paced. We are doing something.
Yeah.
And that's the complete opposite of how I grew up, because it was always a vacation. We're getting away. We're going to the beach, or like we're taking 2 days to lay at the pool, and then we're going to go see something for a day.
Yeah.
Where Jimmy, it's like, all right, cool. So we're going to this hike at noon. We're going to go see this thing at next, whatever time. We're going to go swim with sharks in 20 minutes. We're going to go do this. We've got dinner plans at 9.
Yeah.
All right. And we're starting tomorrow morning at 6 a.m.
Yeah.
See,
It's
I just like to
all
chill.
right,
You guys want to stay up till midnight?
that's fine. Just get your ass up at 6.
Be ready at 6. Yeah.
Yeah, he's nonstop.
Yeah. No, I don't like that. For me, it's like if I'm out, if I'm not at home, that's a vacation. I'm chilling.
Well, I will say that I know after the Spain trip, he got some feedback that was like, dude, you're like running people. Like, this is hardcore.
Yeah.
And he dialed it way back for Africa. Like, there was a lot more downtime. There was a lot later starts.
Well, that's
So it wasn't as bad. But
that's good.
I think looking at the itinerary for Spain, looks like it's going to be the exact same trip
Probably.
that we did last time. And I will say, after the trip is over and you have had time to come home and decompress, you're like, I'm actually pretty glad I got to do all that stuff.
Oh, for sure.
In the moment, it sucks. It's like, why are we still up doing this when we have to be up so early tomorrow? But then once the trip's over and you kind of like, you're over it, you're like, okay, that was dope. Like, I'm glad we got to fit all that stuff in and have all those memories. Cause yeah, I don't know. Sometimes it does kind of suck when I've definitely had it where like there was a day in Japan where sorry, that rain just distracted me.
Yeah, rain's
what the hell
coming
is that? But there was a day where like we were just, I think it was like a day or two after I crashed and hit my head. And the POW was just crazy one of the days, but they wanted to drive like 40 minutes away to go to this other resort. I was just like, I don't think I'm going to wake up. Like, I'm just going to sleep in. And like, I just chilled the whole day and it was great. But then when they came back and they showed me like chest deep POW and they were like, yeah, nobody was on the groomer. Like the groomers were untouched. Like, you know, you could just laugh this POW. I'm like, I should have went. Like, you know, so sometimes it's worth it to just charge it and like,
Yeah, that's true.
get it done. But
Makes sense.
It's hard to call in the moment. And sometimes you push yourself too hard, then you're just wrecked when you get home. Or
Yeah, exactly.
something like that.
Yeah. I feel that.
Well,
All
boys,
Shall we call it?
shall we?
Quick shout out to Happy Roofing. Great sponsor.
Shout out to this team right here.
It's the team.
Couldn't do it without you two guys.
We make it happen. All three of us
Pretty
right
incredible.
here.
It's pretty awesome to have the three of us and, you know, have you be able to come on as our editor, as our tech guy, as
Of
our
course.
director, executive, producer.
Not director.
Producer, not director.
Yeah.
Okay. Maybe I'm the director.
That would fit.
Yeah, you're probably more the director.
Let's go.
Yeah.
Well, brother, this was a great pod. Thank you for coming on. And
Appreciate it, brother.
we will see you guys on the next one. Now we get to do our tally. Started this tally system right here.
Yeah.
Yeah, every time we do a podcast episode, grab this little guy right here.
Just write it on the wall.
All right.